Hello, and welcome to today's video. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to navigate a stressful life, because almost everybody would say they have a stressful life, and different people live different lives. They find different things stressful, but it's a common theme. And I've been disabled in the past. Now I work full time. I have commitments. I have a lot of, if you could say, weight on my shoulders. And it can be very hard in a situation where you have so many expectations on you, so many responsibilities. I don't have kids yet. Maybe you have kids. It's a huge responsibility. And if you're trying to heal whilst you've got all of these responsibilities on your shoulders, it can be quite difficult. It can be very, very stressful. It adds a layer of complexity to this. So I wanted to take today's video and really just focus on how can we heal if we have a stressful life? What are my top tips and tricks? How do we navigate this best? So I know everybody loves supplements. I'm going to dive into some supplements towards the end that could be helpful. But first, I want to talk about some mindset and lifestyle things, because honestly, this is going to make more of a difference than those supplements in the end. So the first thing I would consider, the first thing I would really want to think about would be pacing. So you can have a stressful life. And when I say a stressful life, what I mean is you have a lot going on. You have appointments, you have commitments, you have to be a lot of things for a lot of different people. And healing is you being a carer and a nurturer for yourself. And sometimes when we have lots of other things going on, that can get neglected a little bit. One thing I find really helpful is just pacing things. So this can mean that you still have the same amount of responsibilities. You're not saying no to anything. You're not offloading anything from your plate. It's just the way that you go about it. Often when we feel like we have a lot going on, we do things in a very stressful way. So we will be cleaning the house frantically. We will be rushing through tasks and jobs. We will sit here and eat a meal whilst we're still working on the computer. And this is actually one of the worst things that we can do. I know that we can sometimes feel like we don't have time to do it any other way, but in reality, the body, the brain just simply cannot go at 10 out of 10 for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. It can't do it. Even if you're pushing through, you're actually going to be having dips and peaks in your performance. And what actually works really well is during those dips, so this would maybe be your lunch break, this would maybe be 5 or 10 minutes that you have in between a call, whatever this is, whenever you have these dips, really allow yourself to slow down. Stop rushing and trying to do everything. Stop trying to do 2 or 3 things at once. Really slow it down. Take a breath and look at the pace. Just make it slow. This does wonders for your nervous system. The nervous system, the body heals in a slow pace. It's almost like an absorption. It's like we slow down and we allow it to absorb into us. If we're constantly rushing and frantic, and we're basically opposed to that healing state. So even if you are busy, even if you have a lot of commitments, even if life is quite stressful, try and find these pockets of slow, whether this is mealtime, whether this is a 15-minute walk where you're not listening to a podcast, you're listening to the birds. I don't know if you can hear the birds, but there's so many birds outside my house right now. It is just walking around and taking in the scenes and living a little bit slow. I find this quite hard if I know I have commitments coming. So what I find really helpful is to put an alarm, set an alarm for when my commitment is going to be. And then I can kind of switch my nervous system off. It almost gives me permission to forget about it. This was a problem that I had for a really long time, where if I had a consultation, even at like 6 p.m., I'd wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning and I'd be literally stressed the whole day because I'd think, oh, I have a consultation later, I can't relax. So I'd spend 8 hours in a stress state for absolutely no reason. So now all I need to do is set an alarm for like 10 or 15 minutes before, so that I've got time to get myself ready. Maybe I need to brush my teeth or have a snack or something, whatever it is that I need to do. But it gives me a little bit of time to prepare. And then for those 7 hours and 45 minutes before it, I'm actually really relaxed and I'm actually in a calm state. So the big takeaway in this point is have pockets of slow, give yourself permission in these pockets of slowing down to really relax and disconnect. And if you need to set an alarm to allow yourself to do that, then do that. The second point I want to cover here would be a little bit of mindset shift. So I would like you to rewind about 150 years. And the reason for this number, the reason 150 years is we don't have electricity. Technology we're kind of like in the Industrial Revolution. We're getting more developed, becoming more capable of using like machinery and automation, and these things are starting to creep in, but life still has a very different pace. And I want you to think about what a life would be like for somebody in this era. They are also stressed. They are stressed as well. They are struggling to feed themselves. We don't have refrigeration yet, so there's scarcity every single winter. Like, are we going to have enough food to eat? There's a lot of stress. It's just a different type of stress. But I think one of the biggest differences is that this stress that we used to have felt very practical and very tangible, and it was a stress that we can actually do something about. So we could kind of mobilize this energy of stress that we would feel inside of ourselves to go and do something about it. Whereas now, a lot of the time, we have this stress as almost like a low-grade anxiety, this chronic sense of unwellness or unease. And it's so vague and it's so distant that we don't really know what it is or why it's here or what we're supposed to do with it. And it just lingers and it's chronic. It's there all of the time. And I actually think the main reason behind these different types of stress that we experience now versus 150 years ago, or you can go back even further than that. It's the same sort of story. Go back 1,000 years if you like. But the problem here, I think, is that we are now so overstimulated. We have so much sensory input. We've got bright screens, flashing information, the most powerful and deep and healing information. Even now, you're watching this video because you're looking for information. Information is extremely dopaminergic. We've also got all the bright colors. We've got access to video games, to Netflix, to unlimited entertainment. There is so much stimulation. There is so much dopamine stimulating circuitry in basically everything, even advertisements, even going to a supermarket. We don't even think about this now, but again, go back 150 years ago. The concept of a supermarket simply didn't exist. You had food markets and you had food that was grown locally. Like I live in Portugal, but imagine if I was living in England, seeing an orange would be like a rare experience. A pineapple, almost unheard of. A coconut, impossible. And now you go to the supermarket and you have all of these things and we just take them for granted. But this is, again, another example of actually how good we have it, and having it so good actually creates problems because now we have this chronic, low grade stress, anxiety all of the time. So what I have found really helpful for this is to have better discipline around my digital hygiene. So what this looks like for me practically is my phone is actually in grayscale mode. So I don't have color on my phone. I find that my phone is extremely attractive. It's very alluring. It pulls me towards it and I want to be on that more than I want to be in the real world. And I actually realized that this was actually mostly because of the color. I'd be really interested if you try this as an experiment. Put your phone in grayscale mode. So it's just black and white. It is so boring. It doesn't hold you in the same way. It has less of a grip over you. And of course, if I'm watching some Netflix before I go to bed with my wife, or if I'm doing something that requires color, I can disable that and I can put the color back on. Sometimes I'm watching a YouTube video about like a video game I like, or a series. One you might find really interesting if you like history and you like food, take a look at Tasting History by Max Miller. It is amazing. It's like a series, like a TV series, but on YouTube. I love watching this. We were watching it last night. Definitely, I watched this in color. It's so nice, especially because they add different seasonings and make the food look different. It's a very cool show. So this is an example. This isn't a strict rule where you can never have color, but the default on my phone is it's in black and white. And if I want color, I have to turn it on. This makes the phone much less alluring, and I spend my digital screen time just literally plummeted without any effort whatsoever. Another thing that I do is I have an app installed. I'm on Android and I use an app called Stay Free. And I use this app to basically control certain functions of apps and what times I'm able to use this app. So I have a strict 10 p.m. block of all apps. So it basically blocks everything on my phone, YouTube, any social media that I have, basically everything apart from my WhatsApp, which I use for personal reasons, but also my audiobook player. So Audible, and I also have another audiobook player. These I keep because I'm not looking at the screen. This isn't affecting the amount of blue light that I'm getting. And it gives me something nice to do, something that's, again, rewarding, and it has some level of stimulation, but it's not so hyper overstimulating. It's kind of like being read a bedtime story. So we used to do that 100 years ago. We used to do that 500 years ago. It's a modern interpretation of it, but it's doing the same thing and it's not as overstimulating. So I have a strict 10 p.m. cutoff. Doing this was the single biggest thing that improved my sleep schedule. It is virtually impossible for me to be awake past 11:30 now. So if getting to bed on time is something that you struggle with, I would guarantee that you're laying there in bed, not sleeping, and you're playing on your phone. You're doing something on your phone. You're watching TV. This really, really helps because it gives you access to something that's relaxing, but doesn't give you all of the light stimulation and the over hyper stimulation that you get from being on a mobile device. And finally, for me personally, I've actually removed all social media. So I don't have Instagram on my phone. I don't have Facebook on my phone. I don't have Twitter. I don't have Reddit. I don't have anything. The only things I have on there are some work-related things. So I have Facebook Messenger because I need that. If I need to use Instagram messages, I'll actually just go on my laptop and do it. And I do have YouTube installed. I do watch YouTube videos, but I have an option that is toggled in this Stay Free app that I use that disables short form video content. So even if I had Instagram or Facebook installed, it disables all of those reels and short form video content. And on YouTube, YouTube Shorts are disabled. For me, these are extremely addictive. I can get stuck scrolling for 90 minutes, 2 hours, and it's just a big waste of my life and it brings nothing to me. So those are out of my life. I've got them still enabled on my laptop, but I don't sit on my laptop very much. When I'm on my laptop, I'm working. I have a task in front of me and I stay focused on that. So this basically just reduces the amount of hyper-stimulating, overly dopaminergic inputs that we're getting 24/7 that cause this kind of chronic low-level anxiety, unease, unsettledness. And it allows you to really reconnect with the real world, and colors feel bright again, and life feels free and uplifting and joyful again. And it sounds so ridiculous to say that the colors on the screen on my phone took that away from me, but I really genuinely believe they did. So it's definitely worth giving it a shot. Third point, we're going to come to supplements in number 4. The third point is the mindset behind what type of stress are we choosing. So very often your life will be stressful. There is no way around that, but you can choose what you are receiving in exchange for that stress. For example, a lot of people would say that working is stressful, and I work and I can say, yes, it is a stress. Running a business, running a company is a stressful thing to do, but not having any money is a more stressful thing. So I'm kind of choosing this stress. And in this way, even though it is a stress, there's empowerment in it. It's a stress that I'm choosing. So what I would do is kind of scan through your life and look for areas where you have a stress that you feel powerless about or you feel powerless to. And what we want to do is try to choose something that's different than that, that's a stress that you would prefer to choose. I know that sounds maybe like a bit of an abstract concept, and it might be hard for you to figure out, okay, well, how would I choose a different stress? But essentially just look for areas in your life that are causing you stress, that you feel powerless. You feel like this is stress, that there's nothing you can do about it, and figure out what you can do about it. And the thing that you can do is probably going to cause you stress. It's probably going to be difficult. It's probably going to be challenging. But that stress is more like the original stress that I described, the stress that we had previously, where it's a stress, but it's a stress that you can do something about it. You can take an action, and that kind of registers in your body as a different type of stress. Whereas some external factor that's being imposed on you, this is a stress where you feel powerless. It's going to feed this kind of chronic low-level anxiety, this unease. That's the really bad type of stress. We want to get rid of that as much as possible. And for some people, it might also be worth asking, is the amount of stress that this choice is causing me worth the outcome? So one really cool example of this would be when you look at incomes of households, there's a certain threshold where when you make more money, it actually doesn't improve your quality of life at all. A lot of people will still try to make more money because they can have more status, or they can feel better about themselves, or they feel like they're now worthy or deserving of love, or they feel like they're better than other people. But after a certain point, having more money doesn't actually improve your quality of life. It doesn't provide any significant benefit. And if you could stay above that threshold, let's say you're working like 80 hours a week and then you bring that down to 60 instead, you're still working a lot of hours, but now you've gained so much time, which you can use to spend with your family or to restore yourself. And for some people, it's really worth considering, is this stress actually worth it? Does this stress serve me? Is this aligned with my long-term outcome? And what's very paradoxical about this is very often you'll have somebody saying something like, I need more money because I want to be able to feel freedom. I want to be able to feel safe. And what they end up doing is they work so much that they don't have any time to be free in, and they work themselves into a chronic health problem, which takes all of your freedom away. So this is just one example, but look at whatever it is that's causing you stress and decide if this is a stress that you are choosing. Is it worth it? Is the cost worth the gain? Because sometimes it's not, and it's worth changing it. Now, finally, let's move on to some supplements that we can use to help your body adapt to a stressful life. The first recommendation, this is a really easy recommendation for me, would be something like some type of adaptogenic herb. I'm a big fan of ashwagandha. This works really well for me, and it tends to work really well for, let's say, most people. Some people don't do well with it though, and you can look at other adaptogenic herbs. These could be things like holy basil, or also known as tulsi. You could look at different types of ginseng. These are also considered adaptogenic. You can literally just do a quick Google or open ChatGPT and say, tell me 10 different adaptogenic herbs. Adaptogenic herbs are really cool because they have a variable function depending on the need of the body. So if your energy is low and you need a little bit of a stimulation, a little bit of like a pick me up, the adaptogen will bring you up. It will escalate you. It will give you some energy. But if you're like a bit anxious, a bit wired, the adaptogen will actually bring you down. It will have a calming or a bit of a sedative effect. So it has this variable function depending on the need of the body. So the body can basically use these compounds in adaptogenic herbs differently to have a different outcome depending on the need of the body in the given moment. So these are really cool. And because of this, they can generally be very safe. They can have a very wide array of applicability, and people tend to have a good response because, again, they have a variable function, as opposed to something like caffeine, which is just an overt stimulant, or maybe something like cannabis, which can have a bit more of a sedating effect. This can have either depending on what your body is in need of. So adaptogens, really, really nice option. Second supplement, this is kind of like a dietary thing, so maybe it's a little bit lifestyle-y as well, but definitely we could look at a supplement here, would be looking at electrolytes. When the body's in a state of stress, you will essentially waste electrolytes. They will kind of, your kidney won't retain them as effectively and they'll kind of leak out. The most important ones are sodium, magnesium, and potassium. So making sure that we have a diet that's rich in these, and we could look at an electrolyte supplement as well. Although I do think electrolyte supplements tend to be a little bit underwhelming. So I would prefer to get these from foods. And if you wanted, like, sodium is really easy. Just sprinkle a good quality salt on your food. That's a really easy one. Potassium, get some greens in your diet, have some coconut water, have some avocados, eat some meat. Generally, that's a really good way to cover that base. And magnesium is a really easy supplement to take. Magnesium isn't just an electrolyte. It's also really important in many different processes in the body, and it has a relaxing effect. So that could also be a really good option. Some of the best that tend to be well tolerated and have a good absorption and good effect would be something like magnesium glycinate. This can be really helpful to help you sleep. So this one's good taken before bed. You could also look at magnesium threonate. This one's really good for the brain and the nervous system. So if you tend to be a little bit on the kind of jittery, anxious, or insomniac side, that could also be helpful there. And if you're not sure, you can always try a magnesium complex. This is what I like to do. So I like to buy a magnesium product that has like 8 different forms of magnesium in it. That way you're getting all the different benefits. My favorite product is Magnesium Breakthrough by BioOptimizers. This is a really nice product. I only bought it in the UK. I don't know how easy it is to get where you are, but you can just go on Amazon or iHerb and search magnesium complex. We generally want to have less of the ones like citrate and oxide and sulfate. These don't absorb very well orally, and instead we want to focus on the amino acid chelates. So this would be like magnesium glycinate, bisglycinate, magnesium taurate, threonate, these sorts of things. These are much, much better. Generally, anything that you take that's going to help your sleep is really going to be really, really helpful, because we're also designed to be able to handle stress, but we just need to make sure we have enough recovery. So making sure that we're prioritizing sleep. Some products that can be really helpful with sleep would be something like an earthing or grounding cable while you sleep. I use this every single night. I've used it every single night for like the last 7 years. One-time purchase, absolute life changer. I actually have a full video talking about grounding and earthing products. I will stick that up on the screen somewhere here, and I'll leave you a link in the little box down below. And any other things that could help you sleep. Like I also sleep with an eye mask, like the one that you wear on a plane. I sleep with one of these. I have earplugs, and I also use an Aura ring. I don't have it on me right now, but I use an Aura ring, and that helps me track my sleep scores, see my deep sleep. So this can be really nice. Again, a purchase that you can use to help you refine your sleep, which is going to be one of the most important things to help you adapt and respond to stress throughout the day. And finally, a bit of a cheesy one would be to be grateful, to just appreciate whatever you've got going on, whether it's stress, whether it's something relaxing, whatever it is, being grateful about what's happening. And this has to be genuine gratitude. You can't just say, oh, it's about the energy. It's not just, oh, I'm so grateful right now, when actually you're very frustrated or very angry. You have to find that genuine gratitude. You have to really feel it as a felt experience. Gratitude isn't about saying grateful statements and grateful words. It's about embodying the felt sense of gratitude. So whatever it is that you've got going on, look for something to be grateful for. I know this can feel hard if you've got a lot going on, if you have a lot of commitments, but maybe these are commitments to people that you really care about, and that's something to be grateful for. Maybe the thing that's stressing you out is something to do with your health, but you can be grateful that this is an opportunity to develop more awareness and understanding and intimacy with yourself. There's always a silver lining. There's always something to look for, to be grateful for, and it's a very powerful energy. So that wraps it up for today. Hopefully you feel a little bit better equipped to tackle the stresses that life throws at you. If you think you have a stressful life and you've got some little bonus points that you would share, not just with me, but with anybody watching, please share it, because you never know who you're going to help. There might be somebody that's dealing with a problem that's much similar to yours than you might have actually realized. They read your comment and you change their life. So if you have any tips that have helped you with adapting to stress, managing stress, reducing stress in your life, let me know below, because I'd really love to hear. And I know you're probably going to be helping 10, 20, 30 people that read your comment. So leave me a comment below. That's everything for me today. Hope you find it really interesting and helpful. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.